The Memphis Grizzlies have been one of the biggest surprises of the season. They're the second best team in the league record wise and have been taking the league by storm. They're the second youngest team in the league, and them being this ridiculously good this fast is not very common. But the biggest surprise of the season for them might be the fact that they're 20-2 without Ja Morant. Let me repeat, without Ja Morant. Without their best and franchise player. How have they been this freaking good without Ja? How about they beating teams like the relatively healthy Nets, Bucks, and the Suns? Let's talk about it.
They be like, what? Can you teach me how to dirty? You know why? Cause all the bitches love it. All I need is a beat that's super bumpin'. And for you to back it up and dump it.
Leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I drop regular NBA content, and with the NBA playoffs coming up, they should interest you. So do subscribe to the channel and make sure you stay till the end so you don't miss on anything. The current Memphis Grizzlies team is one of the, if not the deepest team in the entire league. Everyone from 1 to 14 on this team is a legitimate rotational player on any team in the league. And this allows them to have many versatile lineups. The Grizzlies haven't been bombarded with injuries or anything. All teams in the league have been facing their health issues, but the Grizzlies have played 16 different starting lineups this season, and the presumable best main five of Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dillon Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Steven Adams has played only 96 minutes together in the entire season, which is not a whole lot. Guys like Tyus Jones, John Conchal, DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson and rookie Zaire Williams, names the casual NBA fan might not even know, are all always ready to get into the starting lineup or any lineups when required. The Grizzlies have an offensive rating of 114 in the 22 games without Ja Morant, which is just 0.8 points worse than their regular average. This is unheard of. Ja Morant is one of the 10 best offensive players in the entire league. Him being one of the best scorers in the league and one of the best playmakers in the league at the point guard position makes him an incredibly special player and someone who you'd assume would be hard to replace. But one of the biggest reasons the Grizzlies have been able to hold up without Ja, their facilitator, is Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones, simply put, is that guy. He's the best backup point guard in the league and one of the most reliable players with the ball in his hands in the entire world. He is no Ja Morant, to be fair no one is, but he is the best realistic replacement a team can have for their starter star. He's averaging 12.5 points and 6.8 assists per game as a starter without Ja Morant this season. He's an incredible ball handler with a ridiculous assist to turnover ratio of 1:6.8. He's incredible at setting guys up, an incredible entry passer, a very good pick and roll ball handler, and is legitimately one of the best facilitators in the league, especially off the bench. The luxury of having the best backup point guard in the league behind one of the 5 best point guards in the league is insane. And paying Tyus Jones so much money even when they have Ja Morant was a decision many people question, but it's very clearly paying off because Tyus Jones is incredible. Another player who has stepped up in Ja's absence is Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane without Ja Morant is averaging 19.5 points and 3.7 assists per game. His improvements this season cannot be overstated. He is in contention for the most improved player award, and it's justified. He jumped from 9.2 points per game to 18.2 points per game this season, one of the biggest point per game leaps in the league. As mentioned before, Tyus Jones moved into the starting lineup without Ja, so that left the backup point guard role open because that was what Tyus was supposed to do. And this is where Desmond Bane has stepped up. Bane has taken a massive ball handling leap this season. Last season, he didn't really get an opportunity with the ball in his hand so much. But this year in Summer League, the entire offense was ran through Desmond Bane. He thrived in that role, averaging ridiculous numbers. And this season, the Grizzlies gave him all the freedom in the world. One of the biggest reasons both Grayson Allen and Jonas Valanciunas were traded away was the confidence the front office and coaching staff had in Desmond Bane and his development. And it's paying off. He has been one of the better secondary creators in the entire league and has been really good at stepping up without Ja Morant both as a facilitator and a scorer, as he has 10 games with 4 or more assists without Ja, which is really good for his position. He's legitimately one of the best shooters in the league, shooting a ridiculous 43% from 3 on 7 3-point attempts per game, which is just stupid stuff. He's also shooting 50.7% from 3 on 6.7 3-point attempts without Ja Morant, which is even more ridiculous, which is also one of the biggest reasons why the team as a whole has been so good without Ja Morant. The 3-point shooting. Not only Desmond Bane, but even guys like Melton, Kyle Anderson, John Conchar and many other guys on this team have been incredible shooting the ball without Ja. They're shooting 38.1% from 3 without Ja Morant as a team. And in contrast, they were shooting 33.7% from 3 when Ja Morant was in the lineup, which is a pretty big disparity. There isn't really any explanation for this aside from the fact that they just got hot. Because even though the sample is 22 games at this point, the percentages at which they're hitting their wide open threes and open threes is much better than they are with Ja Morant. This is funny because Ja is one of the best 3-point look generators in the entire league, as he forces defenses to help when he gets to the rim because he's that unstoppable at the rim. But a lot of the times the Grizzlies just don't hit their threes with Ja Morant, which is frustrating at times. Them hitting threes at the level they are right now is hopefully something which carries on even with Ja back, because that changes a lot for this team in the playoffs. But yeah, the shooting luck for them without Ja has been insane, which is one of the biggest reasons their offense has been holding up so well, even without one of the 10 best offensive players in the league. Though the half-court offense has been serviceable without Ja, the identity of this team and something which has been holding up is their transition offense. Sometimes the half-court offense for the Grizzlies is struggling because they're missing their primary creator in Ja. So the biggest reason not only the Grizzlies but many teams all time do a great job without their star player is transition offense. When your primary creator is missing for your half-court offense, just don't play in the half-court. It sounds pretty simple, right? The Grizzlies are one of the most athletic teams in the entire league, and running in transition is something which everyone on this team absolutely loves. Guys like Desmond Bane are some of the best transition players in the entire league. Like Desmond Bane is legitimately looks possessed when he gets in transition and it's very squarey at times. This team just gets rebounds and starts running in transition, which leads to constant highlights after highlights. But for you to run in transition, you need to force misses, something which the Grizzlies have been pretty good at. The Grizzlies have a defensive rating of 101.5 in the 22-game stretch without Ja Morant, which would rank first in the entire league. And one of the reasons for that is the gritty, aggressive defense they play, which forces constant turnovers, steals, and blocks, which allow them to run a lot in transition. But the biggest reason for the Grizzlies' defense being as good as it is by far Jaren Jackson Jr. Where do I get started? Jaren has legitimately been one of the 5 best defenders in the world this year, and is up there with just about anyone else in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. The level at which Jaren has been anchoring the defense is ridiculous. The reason the Grizzlies have a top 5 defense is Jaren Jackson Jr. He's one of the best defensive floor raisers in the entire league and has been incredible defensively. Like, players shoot 14.5% worse than expected within 6 feet when Jaren contests a shot. Like, this is ridiculous stuff. He's a league leader in blocks and one of the best shot contesters in the entire league. The reason the Grizzlies' point of attack defenders are as aggressive as they are, which allows them to force many turnovers, which allows them to go into transition, is the fact that they know, even if their gamble doesn't work, they have a defensive monster in the paint who'll swat literally anything which comes towards him in Jaren Jackson Jr. Guys like D'Anthony Melton, Desmond Bane and Dillon Brooks are very good point of attack defenders, and them combined with Jaren's ridiculous paint presence allows the Grizzlies to run in transition, which allows them to hide a lot of their half-court offense issues without Ja because they just don't play in the half-court a lot. The Grizzlies have the motto of grit and grind, and they embody it in every way possible. They're the best offensive rebounding team in the league, and Steven Adams is the biggest reason for that. Like in the last game against the Suns, they had 16 more field goal attempts than the Suns, and the biggest reason for that was their offensive rebounding. This was without Steven Adams too. Efficient offense is one of the most important things in the league right now. Offensive rating, defensive rating, true shooting percentage, and many stats which are used to judge offenses and defenses are all based on possession by possession offense. But at a certain point, when you just get more possessions than the other team and just make more shots, does efficient offense really matter? Like last game, the Suns were a much more efficient team than the Grizzlies. They shot 47 of 86 from the field, which is 54.7%. The Grizzlies, ironically enough, made lesser field goals than the Suns, going 46 of 102 from the field, which is 45%. Like, they just took more shots, so even though they couldn't make efficient offense, it just didn't matter because they took more shots to make up for it. This Grizzlies team is one of the deepest in the league. Saying next man up mentality is very cliche, but it's true when it comes to the Grizzlies. Literally everyone from 1 to 14 is fresh and ready to play when their name is called up. And that's a testament to the coaching department in Taylor Jenkins. This is an incredibly talented team. Desmond Bane is one of the best shooters in the league. Dillon Brooks and D'Anthony Melton are some of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the best defenders in the league, period. The bench from guys like Tyus Jones, Kyle Anderson, Zaire Williams, John Conchas, Xavier Tillman, hell, even guys like Jarek Culver, Santi Aldama, and Killian Tilly are all really good NBA players. Sure, a lot of the games they've won in the stretch were against weak teams and teams struggling with injury. But the last 3 games against the Brooklyn Nets, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Phoenix Suns were all against relatively healthy teams. Being 20-2 without your franchise player is ridiculous whatever way you try and test it. This in no way means that the Grizzlies are better without Ja. It's just stupid to say that. When things slow down like they have in clutch games in this stretch, the Grizzlies without Ja still struggle. This is how it's going to be in the playoffs, and this is where Ja Morant comes in. He is one of the best clutch players in the league. He is one of the best half-court players in the league. He's the leader of this team. He's the franchise player and the superstar of this team. The Grizzlies are not better without Ja Morant. But the fact that they're this good without Ja Morant is still ridiculous. And a lot of the guys on this team deserve more recognition than they do get. The next time you see the Grizzlies at dash and dash without Ja Morant graphic, remember, it's not because Ja Morant is out. It's because this is one of the most talented teams in the league 1 through 14 and a team to be reckoned with both right now and in the future. With that, we've come to the end of the video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already.